We have Tianna Weymouth here with us, newly Olympia qualified. And Tianna, how are you feeling after getting your Olympia qualification?
I'm okay. I already told you this, but it does not feel real. It feels like I'm being pranked. And I felt this way when I got my pro card too. I was just like, I feel like I'm gonna get a call any day now saying that they're gonna revoke my pro card. That's how I feel right now. It just doesn't feel real. And I already showed you, like, I've been getting flowers from all my close friends and family, and I'm just like, you guys are so, like, you guys are too nice to me.
And stuff.
So Hannah got me these pink roses. You know what's funny? They don't even know, like, some of the people don't even know my last name is Rose, but I've only been getting roses. Isn't that
Oh,
funny?
that's so sweet.
I
Yes.
know. Kim and Jordan, the owner of the gym that I go to, they got me these red roses, and then my boyfriend also got me red roses. So I'm feeling very loved today.
That is so precious.
You
Did
know,
your boyfriend get you flowers often, or was this like out of the ordinary?
he doesn't usually, because I'm not really like a flower girl, if that makes sense. Like,
Yes.
if he gets me gifts, it's more like socks or like cool things that I will use on a daily basis and stuff like that. So I'm
Okay.
like not used to being spoiled with flowers, so I feel like a girly girl right now.
You are a little girly girl. You're gonna have to put one in your hair.
I haven't done that since I was 5. Like pretending to be a Disney princess on the beach. Oh my god.
You said that you used to go to Thailand for like 3 months out of the year, correct?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I would be there for basically all of winter,
Okay.
like growing up, because that's where my family is and all that. So we would stay there. I would like take 2 months off of school to go to Thailand, but you're not allowed to do that anymore.
Yeah, you're not. I have a friend who has kids, and she's like at risk of her kid getting kicked out if they
Yeah,
go
you
on a
can't
trip to
take
Mexico one
more.
more time.
Yeah, I think you can't take more than 2 weeks off anymore. So,
Okay. Well,
yeah.
you just made the cutoff, so I'm happy to hear that. And the reason I
Yeah.
ask is because I, of course, just watched White Lotus, like many other people, and then went to Thailand, and the flowers were so beautiful. So
Oh,
I
I know.
imagine you as like a 5-year-old child with flowers in your hair.
Definitely was. I played with flowers a lot because my mom's aunt was a florist too, so she had like her own flower store and everything.
Sickening. That is such a cool job.
I
Okay,
know,
you're
right?
creative. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, so being creative kind of runs in the family because bodybuilding is like an art.
Really
It's the
is,
presentation.
especially
Yeah.
yeah, especially the posing routine too.
Yeah, which you're incredible at, which I was going to bring up. So, Tiana has been a posing coach for quite some time now, and she is an incredible posing coach, and it is called T Active Posing, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, and you do online and in-person sessions. Where do you do in-person sessions?
In Vegas and in Washington. So I go to Vegas almost every other month for
Oh,
in-person clients
wow.
because I have a lot of my clients on my Team Lead Physique, so I'll see them in person in Vegas, or I'll do in person here in Washington if somebody's visiting, or if somebody is local, I'll do that. But for the most part, I do online. So yeah, I'll do in person. I'd say like few times throughout the month, but it's mostly online.
Okay, very cool. Are you
Mhm.
also employed by Team Elite Physique? Like, is that how you do the going there every
Mhm.
other month thing? Okay, very cool. Very cool. Okay, awesome. What an opportunity. You get to meet people from like all over the country. Because I'm
It's
sure.
so cool. My coach, it's really nice because Adam is also like, if we have clients that need posing, like his clients that need posing, they get their 4 sessions with me because it's like part of his posing, I mean his coaching package, like stuff like that. So it's really
Okay.
cool because he'll just be like, hey, so and so is going to reach out to you, or you can reach out to them for their 4 sessions, blah blah blah. It's really like organized, which I like.
That's awesome. How long have you been doing that?
uh since February of 2024.
Wow.
But
Okay, that is
yeah,
so cool.
I know, I'm really, really thankful. But I've been doing posing coaching before I worked with Adam, but officially under him, like starting February 2024.
Okay, got it. Okay, cool.
Mhm.
Well, okay, yeah, so definitely reach out to Tiana for posing. And it is pronounced Tiana, correct? Okay, cool. I
Yes.
went to another interview you did just to confirm, and because I knew
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, okay, I wasn't confident. Okay, so good. Okay, it's Tiana. Okay, so I have a list of questions
Okay.
and let's just get into them. You don't have to answer all of them, but we're just gonna get into them. So, okay,
Yay.
you told us how you're feeling, and now tell us about. Okay, so you just won the Nevada State Show yesterday. Maybe I'll. Okay, I'm gonna pull up your picture again because
Okay.
I pulled it up. I made a little collage for this. Okay,
Oh my gosh.
entire. I mean, it's not like a
I love
collage.
this.
It's just your two photos together.
Oh
But
wait, this is cool.
yes, I made it right when you got on the phone. So I am just so obsessed. I just kind of want to ooh and ah for a second. Your hair, I love the straight hair.
Yay.
It looks so sleek on you. And you made the middle part look very chic and glam.
That means so much. You want to know my secret? I used my
Yeah.
nail. I used my nail
Oh!
and I like dragged it across my scalp and then I like flattened it with some like oil and then that was it. Sorry. It's like
Wait, what
loud.
kind of oil do you do?
Olaplex.
Okay, okay, good to know. Okay, yeah, because it
Yeah.
looks like, yeah, it looks very clean. I use my nail too, but it does not look this sleek. Okay, so yeah, gorgeous hair. I'm obsessed. And also, your glutes in this back pose look fucking crazy. They look so
Really?
dense. Yes, they look so dense and so poppy and just pretty. I don't know if that almost feels insulting to say, because obviously you work really hard on them, but they just look beautiful and aesthetic.
Thank you. That actually means like the world to me because they
Yes.
are, and they still are. Like I'm not even gonna try to cover it up. They're still one of my weak points, but it means a lot that like you think they look good and like dense because we've been like really trying to hold on to that density through prep and everything, just making sure that I'm doing my normal workouts and not doing like my depletion peak week workouts. So
Oh
it
wow.
means a lot that it might be showing.
Okay, okay, I'm gonna write that down because I'm gonna put a pin in that. I'm putting a pin
Mm-hmm.
in that, and we're gonna talk about that. Okay, so we just talked
Yes.
about peak week training. Okay, I'm editing my little sheet. Okay, so interesting to know that. But yeah, okay, you say it's one of your weak points. Yeah, like most people's glutes are their weak points. And I'm sure you probably even got feedback from the judges saying so. But I think where it matters most that your glutes look dense is in the back pose, and that is where they look the most dense on you. Could you
Yay.
have a little more shape in the front pose? Sure, like most people
Yeah.
could, but the back pose, you look very balanced from top to bottom. And yeah, so we're gonna get into your judges' feedback and stuff, but like I wanted to take a moment. And this suit, tell us about this suit.
Love this suit. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of like meaning behind it because initially, so I always wear like it's called Tianna's Purple Radiance on Angel Competition bikinis. Um, but for this suit specifically, I wanted to do more of like a royal blue. Obviously in the picture it looks a little bit more purple, but in
Mhm.
person it's more royal blue. So Savannah designed the suit for me where she added more sapphire crystals and everything, and then we didn't do the velvet fabric anymore because it just didn't look great on me, like personally. I think we did like a lighter blue velvet last year and it looked great, but like I just wanted more of like that contrast with my darker hair too. And then in terms of the connector, because I have such a short torso, we actually had to opt for an extra long connector in terms of where it's like bedazzled and stuff because
Oh,
initially,
really?
and you'll probably see in like past stage shots too, like at Mexico and Nashville you'd see, but the connector, there's fabric on the side of my torso kind of, so the connector was like a shorter connector and it made my torso look a little bit shorter, so we just had to elongate that for the illusion.
Okay, and you're saying that happened at Mexico in Nashville last year?
Yeah, you can see. Oh yeah, so see
Oh,
that piece
okay.
of fabric right by like the top of my glute, like right by the heel.
Yes.
Yeah, right there. So we
Okay.
had to basically just elongate the connector so you wouldn't see that, so my waistline would look a little bit smaller, even though like it probably isn't smaller, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, okay. I love that you said that because part of what stood out to me about your back post specifically is
Mhm.
how short the amount of fabric is here, and it looks
Yeah.
really, really flattering. So now that you say that about your front pose, That is, yeah, that's like the
It
kind of
makes a
attention to detail
difference.
you need. Yeah. So
Yeah.
who pointed that out? Was it you, your coach, Savannah?
It was actually me, surprisingly, because I was like, I tried on this suit initially and I was just like, it's too late to make adjustments right now. Plus, I haven't gotten feedback on it specifically yet. But then
Hmm.
as your physique changes, because I did put on some size between last season and this season, things are going to look certain ways and all that stuff. And I
Hmm.
noticed that my torso, it looked even shorter than it was last year. So I was just like, I really do need to get this under control because I
Yeah.
want that like snatched waistline because I don't have the smallest waist. It's no secret. So I just needed that illusion.
That makes such a difference. Yeah, it does elongate your torso, but it
Hmm.
also gives better shape to your frame. Like it shows off your frame better.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it like, and I don't know if it's just me who thinks this. Oh my goodness, my phone almost fell. Uh, uh, I think it also helped kind of like make more my lower lat pop a tiny bit more because before I did the connector, I was flaring my lower lat a lot, as you can see in the
Hmm.
Nashville show. This
Yeah.
one, I was not flaring my lat at all, but it looks like it is, and I feel like the connector just gave more of that like definitive line between my lat and my waist, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Yeah, because if the fabric is thicker, it covers this little like crest and then it
Yes,
does exactly what you're
exactly.
saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's so interesting. So, say more about this velvet fabric thing because I mean, if you've
Hmm.
seen my videos, I mean, you probably know I have certain thoughts on the velvet fabric, so I'm curious like
Yeah.
where your head is at with that.
For me, I like the velvet, but I think I don't know why for my physique specifically and like the way that it appears on me, the velvet fabric makes me appear like not softer, but just less like bold, if that makes sense. And maybe it
Yeah.
was the color too, but it's just the specific material that's on the velvet that like made
Mhm.
me appear a certain way. And I'm like kind of superstitious. I just am very detail oriented, so maybe it's just in my head. Honestly, I don't think anybody really cares or notices that stuff, but I'm just like I don't really want to do velvet this year.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be in your head. I think, yeah, I see what you mean, how it kind of, because the velvet, like, I'm obsessed with velvet since I was a kid for
I
whatever
love
reason.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, I always had to have a pair of like velvet pants. And when I went through growth
Yes.
spurts, I was like, Mom, my velvet pants don't
Yes.
fit. But it has like almost a silvery white reflex.
That's what it is. That's what it is
Yeah,
because the fabric is like softer, so it like
yeah,
reflects in the light, and then it makes the fabric of your suit look lighter than it actually is. So that's
yeah.
like the main thing. Yeah, you put the words right there. I could not configure the right words for that. So
Yeah,
thank you.
totally. Of course, yeah, it gives the effect of like just a plain crystal
Yeah,
stone, which is why
exactly.
we don't do that. Yeah, because it
Yeah.
reflects too much. Okay, cool. Yeah, I love your take on the nuances of suit choices, like why you would make such so that's great. And it obviously worked for you. So, okay, very cool.
Hmm.
I love the inside thoughts.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm never
great.
gonna gatekeep. I will tell you all the hacks.
Gatekeep girl boss. Just kidding. What is it people say? I feel like there's a third one. Um, okay, so yeah, so how are you processing the whole thing? So
It.
you do the show. Did you have
Hmm.
expectations going into it? So then you do the show, call outs happen, and then
Yeah.
what are you thinking until finals? And then you win, and then you realize you win, and now we're at 2 days later. Like,
Oh
take
my
me through the
goodness.
roller coaster.
Can I tell you like the whole story?
Yeah, I would love if
Okay.
you told me the whole
So
story.
I'm gonna tell you the whole story because it's like it's a lot, but I will tell you.
Thank
Um,
you.
so 1 week out, so first and foremost, some background information. I have OCD and health anxiety, so I'm kind of like I don't want to self-diagnose, but I was diagnosed with OCD and anxiety, but
Mhm.
I'm not going to say that I'm a hypochondriac because I was not diagnosed with that, so I'm not going to do that. But
Okay.
any lump, any bump, any discoloration on my skin, anything abnormal that happens to me, I hyperfixate and I overanalyze and I make up stories in my head. So, a week out from the show, and when you're leaner, you get bonier, like things stick out more. A week out from the show, I was like, oh my gosh, there's a lump on my head. Like, what is this? Like, what's happening? I've always had this lump. It's just sticking out more because I'm lean.
Yeah.
And I noticed this lump like 2 months ago, but I just was hyper fixating over it during peak week. And then I'd say a day later, I'm like just touching my earrings and I have a swollen lymph node behind my ear. And I'm like, oh my effing God, like what is happening to me right now? And
Yeah.
I was just like, oh my God. And all I could do during my, like, and I was training very hard, obviously, but between sets, I was just touching it. I was like, what is happening to me? Like, is this a sign from the universe telling me to stop? Like, is my body giving out on me? And it's like an actual like mental thing that prevents me from being productive during the day and being present in conversation and anything. So it was really detrimental to my mental health. I would break down about it every night and I'd be like, what if something's happening to me? What if I'm not healthy? Like, and I obviously,
Yeah.
you know how you can separate rational thinking and like just stupid thoughts? Like, I knew deep down there's absolutely nothing wrong, but I just physically and mentally could not control my thoughts in terms of that. I just kept thinking about it over and over again. And then I would
And
say
that's what the
about,
disorder is. Like,
yeah,
that's true, but they're almost inextricable from each other because that is literally
exactly.
the disorder. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just couldn't stop. But I'm very proud because I did all my workouts, all my posing clients. I did everything that I am privileged to do every single day. And I told myself, hey, let's just take it one step at a time. Don't touch the bump right now. Wait 5 minutes and then you can touch it. If you really want to go to Olympia, you can't think about it. If you really want to go to Olympia, don't touch it. So it was these little things throughout the day that I would tell myself, like, don't touch it, don't touch it. If your mom's not worried, you're fine. Because my mom, if there's truly something wrong and she is worried, she will tell me to go see a doctor. And I
Mhm.
got different opinions and voices, of those close by me and all that stuff. And they said, sweetie, like, you're fine. Just don't think about it. You're fine. So there was a thought inside of my head, and I was just like, what if this is the universe telling me that I just need to stop my prep because I'm not healthy? But I
Yeah.
physically felt amazing. I was hitting PRs at 3 days out. I was lifting super heavy, reversing into the show. Like, everything that I was doing, I felt awesome. If I didn't even feel the lumps on my face, I wouldn't have even known that I had them. So
Yeah.
that was the one thing that, and it's a blessing in disguise because it really just kept me secluded in my own zone. I really had absolutely no idea who else was competing at the show. Not that that matters or anything like that, but when the lists come out on social media and you get tagged, and then they have the caption saying, here are the front runners. Like, I personally just don't read that because you never know. Every show's different, and the health anxiety that I was dealing with last week really was a blessing in disguise because it just kept me off of social media and just in my own zone, in my own lane, trying to figure out how I could improve my mentality. And all that I was focused on was improving my mental health and being like, hey, you have a show coming up. You need to be on point. You have no time to waste worrying about something that deep down is not anything to worry about, because if there was truly something wrong with you, you would have that gut feeling and you would go to the doctor and you would just know, like, you would have that pit in your stomach telling you that there's truly something wrong. And I don't have that. It's just my disorder speaking to me right now, my OCD, my anxiety, everything. And obviously when you're lean, when you're depleted, your anxiety can be elevated because you have lower blood sugar and all that stuff too.
Yeah.
So I just had to sit down with myself and be like, this is why this is happening. Move on. It's not what you think it is. It'll pass. So, throughout the week, that's all you let me know if you can hear me.
Okay, yes, I can hear
Okay.
you. And
Perfect.
where we left off is that you
Hmm.
said that's what you were focusing on throughout the week.
Yes. So
Yeah.
that's what I was focusing on
And
throughout the
you're
week.
also cracking me up because I also have health anxiety. So
Oh,
I'm like
really?
dying laughing. Yeah, I was convinced that I had hepatitis B just the other
Yeah.
day.
Like, I literally thought that I was growing a tumor, and I
I've had
wasn't.
a
Like,
swollen lymph node on my neck like since I was a kid, and I would incessantly ask my doctor about it, and she's like, "It's nothing to worry about at all." And
yes.
then That's what they've always said. And then I went to the doctor a few weeks ago and she's like, do you know about this lymph node? And I'm like, I do know about that.
Yeah. No,
Okay,
literally,
go
like,
on.
okay. It's nice knowing that I'm not the only one that deals with health anxiety because it literally consumes you and it makes you so unproductive throughout the day because all you're
Yes.
doing is touching whatever you think is wrong and then you're exacerbating it by making it worse. So then in your head you're like, okay, it's getting worse, but in reality, no, it's because you're fidgeting with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah,
So
I totally feel for you. And you're like,
yeah,
so I just focused on that, and I'm like, oh,
yep.
focused on the fact that I'm about to die all week. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's literally where my focus was literally saying, hey, like, am I okay? Am I gonna do this? Like, just so many thoughts, but it led me to say, hey, are you being the best version of yourself? Are you doing things intentionally? Are you being honest with yourself? Are you trying your best? And are you challenging that inner monologue and that self doubt? So it allowed me to just
And
reflect on
how do
myself.
you challenge the inner monologue? Is it saying like, if my
Hmm.
mom is worried about it, like you said, or are there
Yeah.
other things you do?
I I pray a lot. I mean, as cheesy as this sounds, and I know some people might not agree with this, but I prayed and I talked to, because my grandma passed away. But I was talking to her like through prayers and stuff and to God, and I was like, God, if there is truly something wrong, you will tell me. You will give me a sign, Nana. If you can hear me right now, like please just give me a sign. Like tell me what to do. And you know, I told, like I said to God, I said, God, if like a miracle can happen this weekend, and if I could win the show this weekend, it would show me that all of my thoughts that are problematic aren't something to worry or like fixate on. So I was just praying on that. And obviously, like if I did not win the show, like I was gonna be proud no matter what. And I told God, like, no matter the outcome. I chanted this in my head backstage. I said, no matter the outcome, I'm going to be proud, I'm going to be grateful, and I'm going to be present because I'm so blessed to live the life that I do. I have two legs that work, that allow me to do cardio to full capacity. I have an arm that can move and be mobile. Like, somewhere out there, there's somebody that is incapable of doing what we are so privileged to do. So, there's truly nothing wrong with me. I just need to shut out these noises. So, when I'm feeling anxious, when I'm feeling upset, when I'm feeling confused and lost, I just remind myself how abundant my life is and how privileged I am to have the ability to move because not a lot of people have that ability at all. So that's just how I get through it. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's profound, Tiana. I love that's the best answer ever. Yeah, you're so
Really.
right. We're so
Well, it's
privileged
like,
to do
and
this sport.
obviously, like it comes with growth over time because, like, sure, like you're gonna have days when you're tired and you don't feel like doing cardio, but it's not that you don't want to do it. Maybe it's because your legs are sore or something. But then you can think to yourself, "Oh my God, my legs are sore. How cool is that? Like I have feeling in my legs." My grandpa doesn't have feeling in his legs. His legs are numb. Like he would be he would probably love to have sore legs right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's always a different lens that you can look through and there's always a different perspective that you can go by. So that's just how I challenge myself every day. And like every single show that I do and every outcome that I get from each show, I'm always going to look at the bigger picture and be thankful. When I did Optimum and I placed ninth there and I was out of the top 5, I really didn't, as bad as this sounds, I didn't care. I was just like, it's the fact that I got leaner in the time frame that I wanted to do this show, and I was able to push my body to the max and do the things that I needed to do and got to do. Like that is the blessing. So I don't care about the placing. I really didn't.
Yeah.
When I stepped off of stage, I had a few people reaching out, being like, "Hey, are you okay?" Like, because you got second place last year, you got fifth at your last show, you just got not, like, how are you okay? And I was just like, I'm great. Like I'm really not upset, and this is me being genuinely honest too. Like I'm not just saying that to say that. Like I'm having so much fun. So
Yeah.
that's just my mindset. No matter what outcome, you need to be grateful because there's somebody out there that doesn't have the means and the ability to do what we're doing.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm so sorry about your Nana. And
It's okay.
not to derail this, but
Hmm.
how do you think you, I mean, I want to get back to this whole week leading up, but
Yeah.
how do you think you got to have this mindset? Because I think similar things. Like, I'm lucky
Yeah.
that I am able to move. I think about how there are so many people in the world who are like way more genetically gifted than me and work way harder than me, but they just simply don't have the opportunity or means to ever get to
Yeah.
compete. So, how did you come to that?
I honestly, God, that's a good question. I honestly think it just comes with growth over time and realizing that in order to better yourself, you need to learn to call yourself out on your BS. Like for me,
Hmm.
my rookie pro season 2023, I did all these shows, and my rationale for that was to get feedback. And obviously, that's why I did all those shows. But deep
Hmm.
down, there was a part of me that was like, I'm just having so much fun competing and just getting in front of different judges and getting all this feedback. I'm having so much fun. But then I
Hmm.
started to lose sight of the big picture, and I was getting the same feedback, which was you need more muscle maturity, you need to grow. And I obviously listened, but then at the same time I was like, but I'm having so much fun. So over time you realize like, hey, this is going to be detrimental, like your way of doing things, it could be detrimental to your future self. And I just had to basically learn to get like to call myself out and to be like, hey, you need to stop, like you need to grow. And then obviously last season I started to place better, and again, not that I was doing it to only place a certain way. I obviously wanted to grow and improve, but last year seeing myself place better because I took a significantly like, well, not a super long off season, I would say I took like a year off, but seeing myself do better because I took those steps to grow. I deep down knew that I wasn't going to qualify for the Olympia last year, and I didn't want to. If I'm being honest, like
Hmm.
when I got second place, I was really happy with second place. I deep down knew that I wasn't ready for the Olympia mentally or physically.
Hmm.
So this year, I finally felt ready and worthy and deserving of that Olympia qualification. And it all comes down to mindset and obviously physical like development and everything
Hmm.
too. But I finally, when I got my pro card, there was a moment when I looked at myself in the mirror and I said I deserve to turn pro because of my
Hmm.
mindset and because I feel like my physique is up to par now.
Yeah.
And I knew in my heart if I ever got the opportunity to win a pro show, it would be because I had those same feelings, but obviously for the pro stage and for that Olympia qualification. And I would say about 3 days out from this show that I did, I looked at myself and I said, I think I could do this. I think I am worthy. And I feel like my mindset is exactly where it needs to be. This is the right show. It's the first show that I did where, as a rookie pro, where I placed dead last. I did this show in 2023 Nevada State, and I got third or fourth callouts. I didn't place, and I remember how devastated I was because at the time I didn't understand that when you're starting out as a new pro, you're starting from the bottom and you're working your way up. So this show humbled me to the max in 2023 when I was just 19 and all that stuff. And there
Did
was
you
a
feel
lot,
like your coach at the time, like prepared you mentally for like setting expectations for a pro debut?
not really in terms of the expectation part, because I think he knew that that was my responsibility. So
Okay.
I don't think he wanted to ingrain any specific way of thinking into my head because he knew how I thought and how no matter what anybody tells me, I'm always going to have my own habits and trajectory. So I think he just kind of like left that in my hands, which I respected.
Hmm.
But I do think I could have used some guidance, not from him, but like, from external sources as well, being like, hey, this is how it is, deal with it, basically, just tough love.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, hmm
That would be
And I
nice.
do well.
Okay.
I do well with tough love. If I'm being honest, I really, really like tough love and
Hmm.
criticism. I tend to do better at when Adam doesn't tell me, "Oh, you're gonna win." Like he will not tell me that, and I don't want him to ever tell me that ever. I don't
Yeah.
like that. I don't even. I don't like it when people tell me like you're gonna blow everybody out of the water because that's I don't like that at all. I think that's really no. It gives me the ick. I'm like, I'm not gonna blow anyone
Yeah.
out of the water. The only person that I'm gonna beat is myself. That's my
And it's,
thinking.
I totally agree. And it's just uneducated and ego driven to say something like that because
Exactly.
the bikini division is like one of the most volatile. So
Exactly.
if
You
you're
need thick
saying
skin.
that,
Yeah.
yeah,
Like,
that seems like a client retention tactic, but it should
yeah.
turn people away.
Yeah, and I'm very fortunate because all the coaches that I've worked with in the past never said those things to me, which is
Hmm.
nice. So,
Yeah.
it's always good to stay humble and grounded. And I told myself when I turned pro, I'm always going to stay an amateur at heart. And when I say that, I mean I'm always going to be a student of this sport and
Yeah.
continue to learn. After Nevada State, after prejudging and everything, I was talking to Sean and I asked her for her 2 cents too because she's very knowledgeable, very reputable, and I said like, hey, what do you think I should work on? Blah blah blah. And she gave me such good feedback, and she was just like, I think that you looked phenomenal, and I'm really excited to see what happens at finals. This is your best to date, but I do think that you have a slight pelvic tilt in your front pose, and it's a posterior pelvic tilt where your glutes, they're not as like your tailbone's not as arched as it could be. And I was like,
Hmm.
that's really solid feedback, and I agree because it made it look like my shoulder was slumping over in some poses. So I was like, this is really good feedback because I can apply this going into finals too.
Hmm.
So,
And
you
just
know,
to pull that up,
and you can even see it. See in my front pose, see how it doesn't look like I'm as open. Like I could be showing more of my chest, if that makes sense.
yeah, yeah, you could like adjust your pelvic tilt so it's
Yeah,
less neutral and get more exaggerated shape there. And then,
exactly.
yeah, to me it looked like the shoulder was like
Pinned,
sinking down a
right?
little bit. Yeah, but
Yeah,
if you just like opened and lifted it but kept the same angle, that would make your shape
exactly.
really exaggerated. Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I think that's a big area of improvement. That's why I'm not done yet after this show because
Hmm.
I want to improve on the posing,
Yeah.
because the
Okay.
feedback, and we'll get into feedback later. Obviously, I want to
Yeah.
follow the order and everything, but I want to apply the feedback.
Okay, yeah, for sure. Okay, yeah, that's great. Well, okay, yeah, so then you do prejudging.
hmm
And what are you thinking after prejudging? And sorry,
So I
I don't have like a
initially,
stable place that I keep my computer. It's just on a bunch of pillows and
you're
I'm switching
fine.
positions.
I'm
Okay.
I'm holding my phone right now because I don't want to set it on the ledge for it to fall down. So I'm holding it. So it's fine. So yeah, leading into the show, like I was saying, like I was very focused on only myself and bettering myself. So then
Hmm.
come show day, I just felt in my heart I feel worthy of this now because I'm really only focused on myself, and it's the exact same feeling that I had when I was fighting for my pro card and trying to get my pro card because I was solely focused on only myself and bettering myself. So then prejudging happens, and I oh my god, I got first call outs, and I was so excited for first call outs. So then I was on the edge of the lineup for a good amount of time, honestly. I would say for more than half of the first call out, I was at the edge of the line, and then they asked me to switch places, and then they kept moving me in and in, and I was just like, god, are you giving me something that I've been dreaming of for like the past 3 years? Like, is this happening?
Yeah.
And it was a very similar scenario to when I got my pro card, because when I got my pro card I moved in and they kept me in the center and everybody else was moved around me, and that's what happened at this show after I like worked my way in. So then my initial thought was, oh, like, they have the top two who originally started in the middle. They have the top two on the other sides because they already know who they want the top two to be. So I was just like, oh, they're probably just judging 3 to 6 now. So I was like, I'm
Yeah.
probably like in that third or fourth place, maybe, if I'm lucky. So I was just thinking about that. And then when I got off stage, Adam was just like, yeah, we'll just see what happens. And like both Adam and I really didn't think that it was going to be my win, if that makes sense, like my day. Like we were just like, that's probably the scenario um that's like happening right now.
You cut out for a sec. You and
Sorry.
Adam didn't think what? Oh, you're good. You're good. It's
Oh
not
no
your
no.
fault.
Me and Adam just didn't, we don't like to jump to conclusions at all, and we don't
Yeah.
like to be like, oh my god, like you were in the middle, you're gonna win. Like we didn't think that at all. we
Yeah.
we were like, oh, they probably just took 1 and 2 out of the center so they could judge them separately, or like see who they wanted for that 3rd to 5th spot. So we just looked at it from that lens, and I think that was really awesome because, you know, it just gives you a chance to be more analytical and just look at what you can do better and stuff. So he gave me my meal. He was like, okay, I want you to eat 2 tablespoons of butter, some honey, some water, and come back to the venue in 2 hours. We'll see where you're at. We have some room to fill out a little bit more. So we did that, and then, you know, at that point, because I was staying off of social media for the most part, I went onto my phone to just check my messages, because I love to talk to people, and I love to connect with those in my corner and thank them for everything. So I just wanted to kind of, you know, give my gratitude, give my thanks, and then I see that from other people's perspective, that I was like in the middle looking for that like top spot. And then I was just like, guys, please, like, don't say that, because we don't know. It could be up for grabs for anyone, you know, it could be anyone's day. So let's not jump to conclusions. I'm grateful no matter the outcome. And I told everybody that. I was like, I don't know, I hope the top 5 would be great, top 6 would be great. Let's see what happens. It could be anybody's day. It's up for grabs. So that was just my mindset. I was really nervous. I documented myself talking to the camera throughout the weekend. I even, as corny as this is, and I don't think I'll end up posting this because I hate it, like, but I did film myself talking about my health anxiety, and I ended up breaking down in the video, and it's a hard watch. Like, it's just me crying basically in the video, and I really didn't want to cry on camera. So I posted that. Not posted that. I didn't post that at all. I filmed that mainly for myself to reflect back on it, to be like, hey, no matter the outcome of the show, you overcame this hurdle. And I wouldn't even say it's a hurdle. It's something that's self-inflicted in my mind. So I take responsibility for that. So I wouldn't even call it a challenge. It's just self-inflicted at this point. So I just wanted to have that to look back on, to call myself out and reflect on it. And then, like, during prejudging, I filmed myself talking. And I said, God, like, if I do have the opportunity to win, it wouldn't be my moment. It would be everybody's moment. For everybody out there that just feels alone and unheard and alone, like they have no one to talk to. Like, I want my moment to show people that they matter, that I hear them. I hear what you're saying. I hear the change that you're asking for, and I want to represent that, you know? So I just said, like, I pray for a miracle. I really hope I can represent those in my corner tonight. And
And
then,
where does that come from? Like praying for the people who are alone, unheard?
In growing up in, like, in elementary and high school, middle school, I never really had real friends, if that makes sense. Like, obviously I had great friends, but I didn't have like I never really grew up with the best friend, if that makes sense, or somebody that I could just call and be my full authentic self. Like, I really was just kind of in my own space growing up. I've talked about this a few times before, but um like, in my family, alcoholism runs in my family, so I grew up being told to protect my family in terms of not sharing about that stuff and not opening up about that stuff. So, you know, going home, I would just go straight downstairs to the basement to be away from the alcohol stuff. You know what I mean? Like, you know how it is. Like, you've been through a lot yourself, so you know how it
My
is.
family, there's alcoholism in it too,
Yeah,
so
so
I
you know
totally feel
how it
for
is.
you.
It's like very, it's hard because it's like, you know that it's not actually them, it's the alcohol. So I just grew up kind of just going downstairs straight to the basement, locking the door, and just staying in my own zone, and then going upstairs when it's time for bed, and then in the morning going to school, and just, like, basically spending most of my childhood in a secluded area. Obviously, my mom was always there for me, and she is not the one that suffers with alcoholism, obviously, because she's my best friend. But her and I just kind of, we grew up protecting ourselves and just not necessarily living in secret, but protecting the image of the person who was struggling with us and navigating through their verbiage and their behavior towards us and all that stuff. So we just kind of grew up thinking, like, we're not allowed to share certain things. So I just never opened up to anybody, really. So that's kind of like where all of, like, that's where the meaning behind my win comes from is basically showing people that no matter what you're dealing with, your life can seem perfect, you can seem privileged, you can seem a certain way, but I know deep down you're probably fighting something and you're probably battling something. And I want people to know that no matter what, whether you choose to share something or not, you are seen, you are heard, you are loved, and you will get through it. You know, there's a lot of people struggling in silence that maybe we look at them online and we're like they have the perfect life, but maybe it's the complete opposite. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just want people to know that they're not alone. Like, whether they want to share what they're going through or not, they're not alone, and they will get through it, and they will rise to the challenge and get to the where they want to be. So that's what I wanted my win to symbolize, is that miracles can happen. You know, I was fortunate enough to move out of my home when I was 17. I didn't get emancipated or anything, but I was fortunate enough to save up enough money to get a discounted apartment and move out and
Wow.
not see that toxic environment for some time. But obviously I'm moved back in now because I want to save up my money and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I am in that same environment now, but since I'm older and I know how to drive, I don't have to be in that space all day. I have my posing clients. I have amazing friends at the gym, so I just spend my time outside of that environment, and then I can just come home and learn how to navigate through that the best that I can, and just be like, hey, the person that is struggling right now, like, I know it's not actually them. I know it's just the alcohol. So, you know, it makes you stronger in the end, and I just want people to know that you can get through it. You know, if if this miracle happened for me, it can happen for anyone. You know, so that's just the thought behind it.
Well, you saying since I know how to drive cracks me up. But also,
Barely.
but also, that would be barely.
I've
Yeah,
gotten
your
so
car
many.
turned off like 20 minutes ago. But that would be, yeah, that would be so hard because that, what you're describing, like where you can't fully open up to someone, that totally fragments your identity and you want to
Yeah.
be seen, but what you're showing to people makes it impossible for you to ever be seen. So that would really be difficult in terms of forming an identity.
Yeah. Exactly. So that's why like that's what represents my story basically. And obviously,
Yeah.
like, I've been open about this. I'm sure you know about this. I had an eating disorder in middle school and all that stuff. So I want to show people who might be struggling with that recovery is worth it. Having a healthy relationship with food is worth it. Carbs are not bad for you. Carbs will not make you fat, I promise. Just
They will
eat
make you a
those
better
damn
driver.
carbs. Yep, it'll give you full glutes. Like, lift those weights, eat those carbs. Like, I just want to show people that all of our fears are made up. You know, like the lymph node, the bump on my head. That's just stuff that I made up in my head too. You know, like, yeah, it's there, but I exacerbated it by making it worse in my head. So it's like, all of these things that you're dealing with and fighting, it's all going to be okay. You're going to get through it, and you're going to prevail, and you're going to continue to do what you love every single day. So I just want
Yeah.
to show people that they need to keep going and keep fighting for what they want.
Well, I think you are, and thank you so much for being so open about
Oh,
where you
yeah,
come
of
from
course.
and these like mental hurdles that you deal with every single
Yeah.
day.
Well, and I know I'm not the only one dealing with it, too. Like, you deal with it, too, you know, like everybody does, and everybody
Yeah.
struggles in silence. So at the end of the day, we're all in this together, you know?
Yeah. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Wow. Okay, so and now then you won. So
Oh, my
what are
gosh.
okay, so yeah, so you win and then you say you're not done, you're gonna work some more on your posing.
Mm-hmm.
Um and yeah, so can you tell us what your feedback was and
Yeah.
what your feedback has been previously and how you adjust it? Because you have this was like newer posing for you, like the past couple shows that you've done.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if you could talk about the evolution of your feedback, what feedback you take and why, and what feedback you don't take
Yeah.
because it doesn't really apply based on, future lineups, stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. So the feedback that I got at this specific show was that I need to sit more in my front pose, and not necessarily sit more and like lift up my glute, but actually sit down into my front pose and put all that weight on my dominant leg. And then with
Okay.
my back foot, to angle my foot inside of the heel of that front foot. So I do my front pose on my right leg, so that would just mean angling the heel of my left toe into the crevice of my right foot. Um, so
Okay. So you
I think,
said sit into
yeah,
this
so you
leg.
can kind of see with my back leg, see how I'm kind of, it's a little bit close to
Yeah.
my front leg. She wants me to extend it out slightly and move it to the front just a little bit, and then
Yeah.
angle that heel more so inside of that front foot.
Yeah.
And then she
That's
wants
great
me to
advice.
sit harder into the front pose to create more of that like definitive line between the glute and the waist, basically, like that
Love that.
that difference, basically.
Yeah. Who was
Um,
judging?
it was Patrick, Candace. Oh my goodness, I have their names off the top of my head.
Okay.
Ron, yeah,
Okay.
Patrick,
Okay,
Candace,
Patrick Candace
Ron.
Ron. Okay.
Two more judges. Oh my god, she's a women's physique Olympian. I know her name.
Okay,
I
don't know
follow
if I'll
her.
know.
I'm
That's
trying.
okay. We have three of their names though, so that's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
But this was the feedback. That was the only feedback that I got at this show. I asked
Just
about my
posing.
side. Yeah. Oh, and
Okay,
then in
nice.
my model, my S pose, to sit more
Okay.
heavy into that to accentuate my hips because I don't have the widest hips.
Okay. Got it. I will pull
So
that up.
yeah. Basically the feedback was just to sit more into those two poses, and that was it. I did ask
Awesome.
about muscularity, muscle density, muscle maturity, and none of that was mentioned. However, I know in the long run I need like 3 to 5 pounds more lean mass, in my opinion.
Okay.
So that's something I'm always going to be working on, just the density, and that just
Yeah.
comes with age too. Like I try not to identify with my age anymore because I will be the first to admit when I first turned pro, I identified with my age for a good amount of time just because it was
hmm
such a proud moment for me, but I've grown from
Yeah.
that, and I don't feel the need to identify by my age or even bring it up. The media outlets like to bring it up, but I try not to personally, just because I can see how it can annoy people, and if I was in that position, I would be freaking annoyed as well. So I try not to bring it up. Uh, but it's hard because some of the media outlets like to bring it up, and I just try not to identify like with that.
Yeah.
I really try not to. It doesn't matter. Age is just a number. That being said, I do acknowledge that because of my age, I don't have that dense muscle yet, and it's just something that comes with time and experience, which I am working towards.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I
Yeah.
didn't bring that up because I thought I had heard you say something about how you didn't want to identify with it.
Yeah, just because I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know, obviously when I first turned pro, I identified with it because I was so proud. Like I just graduated
Yeah.
high school, but after a while, it gets old. It's just like, Tianna, shut up. Like nobody cares. So I got myself out of it. When I turned 19, I was like, I'm not identifying as this anymore. Like, this is stupid.
You are
So,
so funny. Okay, well, yeah, I mean, it is really fucking impressive though that you're 21.
thank
I will
you.
say it.
But
And
it
also,
does get annoying seeing that,
mm,
like, not for me personally,
the
for
youngest
other
Olympian.
people. For other
Yeah.
people, it does get annoying for them seeing media outlets saying 21-year-old IFBB Pro qualifies for it's like, yeah, we get the idea. Let's move on past the age. Let's just address her as her name. And
I
I've
hear
had a
you.
few
It makes it
people,
sound like it's tattooed on you or something.
yeah, and I'm trying really hard not to identify with that because I don't want people to think that I'm presumptuous or something, because I'm not.
Yeah.
So,
I
yeah.
don't think that, and I don't think
Okay,
anyone
that's good.
watching will think that. Yeah,
Okay,
I
well,
was,
that's good.
I like to think we have a very open-minded and forgiving group who watch
Yeah.
anything I put out. Okay, awesome. Yeah, so okay, so that feedback you will implement. Have there been times that you've gotten feedback that you and Adam are like, no, we're not going to implement that?
Mm, for this season or like other seasons?
Like this season or maybe last season.
To be honest, no.
Okay.
Because the thing is, and a lot of people have pointed this out, and even I agree with it, I
Mhm.
have dominant quads, especially in that front pose. I just have like that beefy, grainy, ugly, dense quad. Not the prettiest, but it gets the job done, I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
But
it's still prettier than all 25 people at the show.
no, 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 no,
Just
no,
kidding.
no,
I'm just
no.
kidding.
But I've never gotten feedback about my quads being overpowering in my front pose. Never. Like,
Yeah.
I will say, Republic of Texas 2023, Tyler did tell me that I was hard from the quads, but that's an easy fix because you just soften up, basically. But, it wasn't an easy fix, obviously. I know a lot of people can attest to that. But, like, even though people point that out, it's never been feedback that I've gotten, which is surprising to both me and Adam because
Yeah.
both of us agree. Oh my God, you're so fast with this.
I
Yeah,
just left it up.
do you see the hardness in the quad? Ew, that's
I
such a
do.
terrible front pose. I don't even want to look at that. Oh my
Poor
God.
man. No, I think
Literally,
that
I look like I'm lat spreading on stage. That is a hard watch. You live,
I
you
think
learn.
that you live, you learn, live, laugh, love. No, I think that like it might look out of balance. I mean, it doesn't even look out of balance now. Like I think it just means bring up the glutes. Because I think if your
Exactly.
quad were smaller, then people would be like, she has no legs or something
Yeah,
like that. You know?
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually,
Okay.
at Legions, Tarek, the head judge there, told me that I could actually use a little bit more size to my legs, not my glutes, but my legs. I asked him because
Interesting.
the previous show at Optimum, I was told that I could use some more glute volume if I wanted, and to twist more in my front pose.
Okay.
And then I asked Tarek about the the legs at Legions
Hmm.
this season. And he said, yeah, your legs could use some more fullness and roundness. And then I said, do you think my glutes need more volume? And he said, no, you had a great back pose. You don't need more glute volume. And then I
Okay.
brought that up to Adam, and Adam said, I agree with that feedback. However, you do need more glute volume and you do need more glutes. And I
Yeah.
was like, good. I'm glad we're on the same page because I do think I need more glutes as well.
Okay,
They will
good.
always
Yeah.
be a weak point. So even though I'm told you have good enough glute volume, no, I need more glutes. That's just it's just the reality of the situation, especially in that front pose. I need more projection. I need more of that oomph. You know what I mean? So
Totally.
that's the only
Totally.
piece of feedback I would say I disagree with. Other than that, the feedback this season, coming tighter, same conditioning, just little things that we can change show to show, which I'm so grateful for.
Me too. Have
Yeah.
you and Adam talked about the kind of conditioning that you, oh my God, I was like, is someone in this room with me? But it was just my hand moving in the mirror.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
Anyway,
I've done that
um,
10 times today.
it creeped me out because it's coming from like behind the couch. I'm like, oh,
Oh my
anyway.
God, yes.
So you and Adam, have you talked about what kind of conditioning because the conditioning you brought, it does look a little bit harder than what's
Yeah,
usually like awarded at the
rewarded. Yeah.
Olympia. And your conditioning at Mexico last year, obviously you didn't win. Mexico, I mean, you were really close. You got second place. That conditioning to me looks more like what they say they
Yes, I
want.
agree.
So what do you guys think about that?
Adam and I completely agree with that as well. We actually talked about it today. He said for this next show that you're going to do, you need to come in a little bit softer and not as hard. So we're just going to really try to do that. However, we do understand because I don't have that huge amount of glute density yet. I do need to come in leaner to
Yeah.
show those tie-ins, to really make those tie-ins pop, because what's being rewarded at these shows right now is that full tie-in, but you're not seeing the etching in the vertical separation in the hamstring ropes. You're seeing that full tie-in, but then the bubbly round hamstrings
Yeah.
underneath. So for us, it's like, yes, we need to come in very, very lean in order to see that. But also at the same time, we can't come in too lean because then my quads will start to be very like, I'll get that vertical separation and that graininess in my quads.
Hmm.
So at this show, we came in very, very lean. We filled out a lot and ate so much food, and it worked out for us. But Adam said for the quads, like, I would like to see a little bit more softness in the quads. Um, so we're gonna come in a little bit softer for the next show. Hopefully, still have that tie-in, because we're still gonna keep relatively the same conditioning, just soften up just a little bit. So it'll just come down to the peak, if I'm being honest.
Totally. Okay, yeah, that makes total sense. And what you're
Mm-hmm.
saying, yeah, that's like because I'm not a coach, but that would be like my hypothesis. Like you can only come in so
Yeah,
full when you're like a little more under muscled than the other people that are there to
exactly.
still see all the same details. Okay,
Yeah.
and then I said I was gonna put a pin in this. With your training going into peak week.
Yeah.
So do you train like really heavy the day
Hmm.
before or something to like keep inflammation in the muscle bellies, or like what
Yes.
is it?
Yep, exactly that. I train really heavy, really hard, drop sets sometimes, intensifiers, pause rests. Usually for me, how I like to, because I'm very specific with my exercises, and I obviously, Adam does my programming, but I program my own intensifiers and I do my own, like, rep ranges and stuff like that too. I do
Okay.
best for anywhere from 6 to 10 reps. That's where I can hold my fullness on specific exercises, but for like anything like lat pull downs, rear delt flies, like smaller muscle groups, I do better with like the 12 to 25 rep range. So for me, I'm a combination. I do good with high and low reps, but for peak week specifically, I stick to the 6 to 12 rep range. For hip thrust, I will do 2 hard, heavy sets of 8, just really slow, really controlled, squeezing, holding at the top, slow eccentrics, explosive concentrics. I still do squats and leg press on the machines, obviously, not free weight because that's very dangerous in peak week, at least for me.
Yeah, no,
So,
totally.
I do that. I do kickbacks. I do all the accessory work as well. I just have to be careful not to overdo the rep ranges because then I'll start to look stringy. So that
Oh,
just
okay.
means upping the weight sometimes and keeping that heavy weight. Because sometimes I feel like it's weird. I had phases where I was just so wrapped up in the technicalities of things that I would only focus on the slow and control burn and being very tedious with the mind muscle connection. And I noticed I wasn't really growing from that because for me personally, I do better with like less reps, more weight, and just holding on to that density. That's just what works for me. I'm obviously not advocating this for anyone, just for me, but
Yeah,
it's just what
totally.
allows me to hold on to my fullness. So,
Awesome.
yeah, that's what I've been doing for every single show, except for the Wasatch show. I did do my depletion workouts because I just I wasn't very lean at that show. Like I wasn't too happy about the package that I brought there. I don't like coming in soft like that at all.
Okay.
So
And was that strategic that you came in softer at that show?
yeah. And we
Okay.
knew going into that show that the feedback would probably be to be a little bit tighter, but we just needed to come in like that at that show to know how tight we needed to be because we didn't want to
Interesting.
overshoot anything. And by no means was I spilled over on stage at
Yeah.
Wasatch, but I do think that I was very soft and I could have been like 5 pounds tighter in my opinion.
Okay. So are you trying to come in at like the Olympia or at your next show, somewhere in between
I would
these,
say,
like this and what you just did?
yeah, I would have to say that, and I would say Mexico is probably the closest to that if I'm being honest.
Okay. And this front
Yeah,
pose, that looks like it's it. Like if you brought the arm a little bit tighter to your frame, this
yeah.
front pose is like really, really awesome.
I think this was my best front pose this season. But then
Hmm.
throughout the season, as I was getting more and more feedback about twisting my waist away, I started to lose sight
Okay.
of the upper body. And that's a flaw on my part because, as a posing coach, you need to learn how to differentiate between different voices and not get too many voices in your head. But it's also, I wanted to try out new things to know what worked for me. So that's why I was willing to take the risk of not opening up my upper body so much in my front pose, even though I knew strategically probably wasn't the best idea, but I just needed that feedback and that reassurance. So I think
Awesome.
for me, coming in like Mexico, Wasatch, and Nevada State, somewhere like all three of those looks had a baby. I think
Hmm.
that's going to be our next look, I hope. So
Yeah.
we'll kind of see. Adam said we're probably going to gain like 2 pounds, maybe.
Okay.
Um, but obviously weight's not important, obviously. But I will admit I think this is more aligned with the criteria than the package that I brought this past weekend, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, but if you brought this, maybe you wouldn't have won. So
Exactly. Yeah.
risk
It was just
well
based
worth
on the
it.
lineup.
Yeah.
It's based on the lineup. Like who knows if I had done another show that same weekend, probably wouldn't have won. That's just being realistic. So it's just
Yeah.
it
And that's
won
with any
with
show
that
winner.
lineup. It won with that lineup that specific day, and it was the best. It wasn't, but you know what I mean. It was the best to
Yeah.
choose from that day.
Yeah, and I think that's true of any pro show. Like, unless like a top five Olympian goes to a show, and even they have all beaten each other pretty much at this point,
Yeah.
then there's always an argument for like, yeah, if you did the show that was in Texas that weekend,
Yes,
then you might not have
exactly.
won. So yeah,
Exactly. And Adam is very strict about this too. He said, you can do one more show this season, but after that, we need to shut it down because you need to make improvements before the Olympia. I
I was
completely
gonna
agree
ask.
with that. So we're just going to do one more. No expectations, obviously, because I'm probably not going to win that show. Like, that's just being realistic. So we're just doing it to experiment, get more data, just so I can be with him in person at a show again, so he can like prepare me for the weight drops that I get when I travel and just stuff like that. So it's more
Okay,
so just like preparing for the Olympia, basically.
yeah. Well, you totally could win this show. So
We'll
we'll
see.
see. We'll see. Yeah, I'm not ruling it out though. You
You're
just won
amazing.
once.
I love you. Honestly, I really do.
I feel the same
But
way.
the the reality of the situation is I won because of who else was at this show and the judging, and it was the right time, right place, right peak, right scenario, and it will probably be hard to replicate that. So there's really no expectation. I'm just so over the moon. Like,
Yes.
that's why I keep saying it was a miracle, because it really was. Not necessarily because of like but it was the fact that I got to the show with all the other things going on that week. Like, I almost missed my flight, and like we went to the wrong airport, and oh my god, it was just a
No.
whole,
Oh
yeah. So
my
it was
God.
all a blessing. It was all a blessing in disguise because God
Yeah.
delayed my flight by 2 hours. We made it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So it'll be cool to like. It'll be nice to have like a no stress show. Like,
exactly,
yeah, and that does well for a lot of people. And yeah, maybe you'll win, maybe you won't, but like we'll
yeah,
just see what happens and it'll be
exactly.
fun.
And
And yeah, going in carefree is gonna feel so good.
I know it's gonna be really fun. And also, like, I have to give a shout out to Emmy here because when she won San Diego and then she decided to do Wasatch, um, she shared her feedback, and they tried a different look for Wasatch, and obviously it was rewarded. She won that show too. So I really like to use her as an example because she truly went into that show with no expectations, and
Yeah.
she was like, now that the pressure's off, like, I'm just having fun, like, and not to say that there was pressure beforehand, but you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah,
she
totally.
just was telling me and explaining to me that, like, I'm just having fun. I'm doing what I love. So
Hmm.
I really love her mindset, and her and I are so close. Like, she's a big sister to me. She was actually my first ever posing coach when I first started.
Really?
So yeah,
Oh yeah,
mhm.
because she's in your area, Washington.
She was my
Yeah.
first ever posing coach when I first started when I was 17, 18 years old. She was
Oh,
there at Emerald Cup with me and helped me through my posing. So shout out to Emmy. She's awesome.
that's so
I
sweet.
wouldn't be where I am today without her, and I wholeheartedly mean that. She is one of the most sweetest, kindest, most down to earth people I know, and she deserves this shout out. Like, she's
Yeah.
so awesome. I love her.
Shout out Emmy. I'm a big fan.
Yeah,
That is so
literally,
cool.
she's beautiful inside and out. And 5 kids, 5 kids. Like, what the heck?
She
Five
has
kids in your
five
dude.
kids.
Yes, 5 kids.
Wow.
Owns a
I cannot
business. Owns a
imagine.
coaching company. Has a gym. Like,
Shout
excuse
out
me.
Emmy
Yes.
and Co. Wow.
I know.
Oh my
I'm trying to
God.
be like her when I grow up. Like,
For
wow.
real. For real. Wow,
And
that's incredible.
her story is so freaking inspiring. So inspiring.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. That's amazing. Okay, I'm so glad you guys connected. That's so cool.
Yeah.
And that gives you like a really it's so nice that you had a positive experience with someone in the league like before you had even really done anything
Yeah.
yet. Because
Mhm.
that makes you want to be a part of it. If you had a bad
Yeah.
experience, who knows?
Yeah, exactly. And her husband John, like, they've always believed in me since day one. So, I got to give them a shout out, like, cuz
Yeah.
got to give credit where credit is due. And like, I really wouldn't be where I am today without everybody that believed in me from day one. Cuz in all honesty, like, there was a lot of self doubt this season. Like, I was just like, should I even keep trying? Like, it's probably, and even Adam and I said, because being realistic, like, you just never know. Adam was like, it could take you up to, I think it cut out.
It did. You said even
Yeah.
Adam and I said,
Yeah. So even Adam and I said, like, hey, it's probably going to take realistically up to 8 to 12 shows to come close to qualifying. So the
wow,
fact that I did it on the fourth show, that was my miracle. It really was, because
that's amazing.
I didn't think so. Like, but four's my lucky number. I got my pro card on the
Perfect.
fourth show. I got second place last year on the fourth show. So I was just like, this year I really hope four is my lucky number.
Yeah, and it was. That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
very like, I love these kind of things. Like, I'm very superstitious. Like, obviously I'm religious too, but I think about these things and I'm like, I feel like this is just God's gift to me. So
yeah.
yeah.
And do you have strategy in choosing your shows?
Mm, yeah, I'll be honest. Yeah, because the thing is, I'm not going to gatekeep here. I'm just going to tell you guys exactly how it is in the pro league. Let's say you've never been in front of a specific judging panel before, and you compete in front of them. It could go either way. You could do really well, the judges love you, or it
Mhm.
could not go your way, and the judges might not really gravitate towards your physique because, again, it's subjective. It's what
Yeah.
they think fits the criteria the best. So after Legions, Adam and I kind of sat down, like on the phone, and
Mhm.
I literally told him, I was like, I don't think I want to do Nevada State because I placed dead last there in 2023, and I'm kind of scared of that show ever since.
Mhm.
And Adam was like, okay, but you have to understand that that's the only show that weekend. So if you don't do that show, and you're obviously not going to do Toronto because that's too soon, and like, I just don't think we can bring your best at that show, like being realistic, it would either be Nevada State or we're just going to have to wait a few more weeks and you do better closer from like show to show closer together basically.
Yeah.
So take that risk. So I was just like, okay, I don't know who's going to be on that judging panel. So it'll either be my day or it won't be my day, but I'm just going to take that risk in full send. So that's kind of the strategy behind it, was just basically spacing out the shows.
Okay.
And I really didn't know who the judging panel was. I talked to Patrick after Legions because he had judged Legions and he didn't even know that he was judging Nevada State. Like, I didn't even know he was judging that show until I saw him, and I was just like, oh my god, yay, a judge that I've talked to before. Like, I feel a little better that he's seen me on stage before, stuff like that. And
Yeah.
obviously, this is not to allude to politics, because politics does not, it really doesn't. Like, I understand that people might say that, but I promise you, politics plays no role in the judging. So I really was just like, either Patrick will like my look at this show, or he won't like it because it's a completely different lineup.
Yeah.
So I was prepared for any outcome. I was like, Patrick will either reward me today or he won't reward me, you know?
Yeah.
And that's just how it is. So we just kind of went into the show. Like, even Adam backstage, he was like, these girls are really good. Like, this is a really good lineup. So
Yeah.
these girls are good. It could be anyone's day. And I was like, absolutely. It really could be anyone's day. So, yeah.
Wow. Yeah. That is so cool. And yeah, because it doesn't seem like who you know would show up at a show plays as much into it. Because, like, obviously, Adam coaches
Oh,
Ashley, and you've competed at shows that Ashley does. So
oh yeah,
that's
I have.
like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So is the strategy, if there's a strategy there, like, it would be good to get compared against Ashley?
Yeah, and in all honesty, I thought Ashley was doing this show. I really did. So,
Yeah.
so
She
I
usually
kind of like,
does.
yeah. So, and like, obviously, like, we really didn't know who was going to show up at the show, nor did we care. We just were
Yeah.
like, our strategy here is the time frame, basically. Because the thing is, for me, for fullness and muscle density purposes, I kind of have to go from show to show in order to
Hmm.
hold on to that fullness, because I get the fullness from the peak, and then I get to sustain some of those carbs throughout the week before it deplete again and stuff like that. So our strategy for us, it's not based on the lineup or the judges. It's based on the timeline. However, I do know that in the pro league there are different strategies in terms of like getting in front of the right judges, uh, stuff like that. I personally have never done that because I don't know who judges the show. I think there is a resource to check. I could be wrong, so don't quote me on that. But like, yeah, we just kind of go by timeline. At least, because being in my position right now, it's the only strategy that I really have going for me right now. Because it's like, I'm not super known in terms of
Yeah.
like the judges, so it's like it's always going to be a new panel. Like every show that I've done so far this season has been a new judging panel with a
Mhm.
few judges from the same shows here and there sprinkled in. So,
Okay.
it's always new.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Like as you climb up within the pro ranks, which you are like a name that people are already were looking out for because you have like a lot of fans, but
Maybe.
especially now that you do undeniable. But now you're an Olympian, so in lineups you'll be looked at as such. So there might be more strategy that goes into it at that point, or at least people will
Maybe, yeah.
speculate.
And one thing that I'd like to preface too, and I know like you can kind of read my mind. You know how I am sometimes, but just because I want a show doesn't mean that I'm gonna like continuously have this set expectation or outcome in my head,
Yeah,
because let's the next show that I'm doing, who knows, maybe I'll get second call outs, maybe I'll get first call outs, maybe I'll get third, you just don't
yeah,
know. So just because I won this show doesn't mean that I'm superior, or in that I'm in that place now where I'm just always going to be in that circle. Like,
of
no, if I
course.
don't bring my best, if I don't look up to par, I'm not going to be rewarded, and I'm not going to get first call outs. That's just it's they're gonna reward what they think is the best.
That's
So
the right mindset to have. And I really
yeah,
like that you said you try to keep an amateur mindset. So
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah,
like going into expectations, just setting you up for like frustration, anger, and disappointment.
exactly. And even my mom, because she's brutally honest, at Wasatch when I got first call outs, my mom was like, in all honesty, I didn't really expect to see you in first call outs. And I was like,
Ruthless.
yeah, I was just like, in all honesty, I agree. I agree with you, mom. So it's nice having honest, brutally honest people in my corner. Like,
Yeah.
Adam will tell me what I need to hear, not what I want to hear. Another thing that I'm really proud of about the show is that I was so in my zone, that I was so on top of timing. Usually, and this is maybe like the college young student in me, I like to
Mhm.
push out my first meal later in the day so I have more food throughout the day. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
The
no,
prep
that's
math.
not allowed. That's not allowed anymore. I had to start my meals early because you don't want to be cramming food in at the end of the day to try to catch up. You know what I mean?
No.
So
There are no
I had
shortcuts
to.
with it. You just like have to white knuckle it.
Yep. So I just had, and Adam was like, I'm going to set you straight right now. You need to be on top of your meal timing. You cannot fast for 6 hours in between meals. That is not okay. That's not what an Olympian does. So get on it. And I was just like, okay, cool. I will do that. And I was just, he obviously didn't say it sternly like that, but you know what I mean. He
Yeah.
was like, you just need to be better on this. You need to be on top of this because we can't have large gaps in between meals because then that will distend your waistline. Blah, blah. So
He
peak
didn't
week,
have to. You
I was
got
on
the
top.
message.
So I was just like, okay, we're on the dot now. We're on the dot. I promise. I apologize. So,
That's amazing.
the words I apologize for any inconvenience comes out of my mouth a lot.
I know. I know. I'm trying to say sorry less. And I was just there's a group that I volunteer with here for new moms.
Yeah.
And one of the moms kept apologizing to me for something. And I was like, no, you're good. I was like, I'm also working on saying sorry less. And then
Yep.
later she said to my boyfriend, because we were helping her with something, he walks away to go help her move something. And then she says to me, she says, she wanted to say sorry. And she says, I am not sorry. I
Good.
loved it.
Good. That is growth.
It was gross. It was so cute.
Oh my god, that's
Um,
hilarious.
Okay, very cool. So, I think my final question is so okay, is it 16 weeks till the Olympia? How many weeks
Roughly,
till?
I would say 16, but the thing is, it's like peak week, you can't do much. So
Yeah.
I'm going to treat it like 14 to 15.
Okay, yeah, yeah. So 16 weeks and 6 days until October 12th.
Yeah.
So really like 16 weeks. So you're gonna do one more show. I did not see
Hmm.
you on the list for this weekend. You don't have to tell me what show you're gonna do.
Hmm.
But if you want to say like how long you're going to take off, or how long is like the prep for the
For
Olympia
this
gonna
next
end
show.
up being? Yeah, I
Oh
guess.
yeah. We're actually aiming for a relatively closer show. We don't actually, if I'm being honest, I don't know which show yet. Like, this is me being completely upfront because Adam and I haven't had like, because we were in person, so we were able to
Hmm.
talk, but we haven't had like a sit down phone call to like kind of plan out stuff. We just
Okay.
were like, let's try to aim for a show within the next like 2 to 7 weeks. I would say 2 to 6 weeks.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, like if I extend it more than that, I'm not gonna be able to bring my best. I'm not very like maybe I could like I don't know how to explain it, but it's like right now the conditioning is where I want it to be. So I'm reversing right now. So I want to hold on to this fullness. So that's why I want to do something relatively soon, so I can bring my best to the stage. But for the Olympia prep, I would say we're gonna reverse into it, and we're probably gonna stay within like 2 to 5 pounds within stage weight, I would say.
Yeah.
Because I'm
And
stage
that
weight
makes
right
sense. You want to
now.
stay fresh, like, so you're
Yeah, I
freshest for
just
the
don't.
Olympia.
Because if you think about it, 16 weeks, like, it's not that much time. It really isn't. So,
No, it's like a couple weeks until your next show or whatever, and
yeah,
then
so
a little reverse, and then having to like cut again
exactly.
for.
That's why I'm just kind of like, I don't feel like doing an off. We're not even going to go into an off season, I'm pretty sure. Like, obviously, we're going to reverse make improvements, try to put on some fullness, some size before, but like being realistic, I don't know how much size I'll be able to put on, but I'm not going to undermine that because for me, I'm able to train really, really hard and heavy and hold on to fullness, which gives the illusion of more size. Because between
Yeah.
Legends and Nevada State, it looks like I came in heavier, but in reality, I actually came in lighter. We just filled out more. So it's all going to be an illusion, I guess, but I would like
Okay.
to make a lot of improvements before the Olympia, especially in my posing, because I need to be more confident on stage.
Mhm.
Because I can sit here all day and say, like, I know my poses, I know this and that, but I need to bring that confidence to stage, and that's just something that I'm not proud of. I don't think I exude good confidence on stage, and that's just me being honest and open. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, and confidence I think just comes with like practice and
That's why I
which
want to
you
do
already
that
nail.
show. Yeah.
Yeah, and
I want
believing
to
in
do one more
yourself.
show just to get that confidence and practice, and I'm gonna try to nail it, but you can't expect to nail it on the first try. However, I've been given 4 chances now, so
Lucky
fifth
number.
time, let's hope that fifth time is a charm.
Yeah, I think it will be.
Let's hope.
Yeah,
Let's pray.
I'm hopeful. I'm praying. Um, well, Tiana, thank you so much for coming on. Is there
Oh my
anything that
god.
I did not touch on that you would like to say?
Honestly,
And
I feel like we covered a lot. I really just wanted to be straight up and like not gatekeep anything, because if I was like a listener, I would want to know all the insights and details. So
yeah,
I
you
hope
gave
that
so
this
much detail. I appreciated
Yay.
it.
So I hope this, like, at least one person out there feels more in the loop. I know I'm not really on social media broadcasting about my prep that much, solely just because it's like, it's such a sensitive platform. I don't want people to take what I'm doing and think that they need to be doing that, as redundant and as fitness influencer-y that sounds.
Yeah,
I want everybody to take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. I'm not I'm not eligible to be giving any sort of advice or anything like that in terms of like what to do, what not to do. So I just
yeah,
want people to know that this is just my 2 cents. This is my story, and if somebody can take a small piece of inspiration from this, then I'll be happy. So
yeah.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much. And I would like to close with two things actually. So, number one, biggest posing advice
Mhm.
for competitors. And then
Mhm.
number two, I have some things that are pride related because it's June and I'm doing it in all my June videos.
Absolutely, yes.
So tell us some posing advice, maybe for beginners, intermediate, advanced people.
I would say for beginners, intermediate, and advanced, film yourself posing on your phone, like with the back camera, so you can't see yourself. Do it every day if you can, and just practice feeling each pose so you know exactly how it should feel on stage. So we don't have mirrors on stage. And also on days where you feel like you're not connecting well with the poses and you're just not fluid and you can't do it, focus on a different aspect of your posing. For example, let's say you don't feel that fluid that day. Okay, that's okay. Why don't you focus on holding your front pose for a few minutes at a time to get that conditioning practice in, and then you can circle back to
Heck
the
yeah.
fluidity tomorrow. So if one thing isn't working, circle on another aspect. That would be my biggest tip.
That's great advice. Yeah,
Yay, I'm
I love
happy.
that. Thank you. And
Yeah, of
then
course.
the pride related things that I have are one, I chose this one for you. In January, gay marriage was legalized in Thailand, and I know you
Wait,
are Thai.
really?
Yes!
Wait, that's so awesome.
Right? And not a ton of countries have legalized
I
gay
did not
marriage.
know that.
But
That's really cool.
yeah, Thailand is one of them.
Oh
And
my
then
god.
the other one is for my bisexual queens, kings, and non-binary NBs in the audience. I'm going to leave an article about the bicycle, which, if you are familiar with the bicycle, or if you're not, I'll tell you. It's the fluctuating attraction to different genders. And like I said before, I define bisexuality as my gender and others, not just the
Mhm,
binary of men and women. So I will
mhm.
leave an article about that below, and then maybe you'll relate, or maybe you have someone in your life who you care about and you want to understand them better. And yeah, you can read about that there. It's great. It's a college student who talks about his experience with it. And one of the lines in it cracked me up because he said that his sister is also bi and they have a straight brother, and that they heard a joke or something about how someone describes attraction to men as ooh and attraction to women as ah. So ooh and
Oh
ah.
my,
I know. I think he and his sister are completely bonded over and we're cracking up laughing.
oh
And
my
then
god, that's so funny.
their straight brother did not get it. And he was like, oh, maybe I'm different than I thought. My brother doesn't get this. So I'm gonna leave
That's
that
so
below.
funny. Okay,
So good.
I'll check that out for sure. That's so
Yeah,
interesting.
check it out. Well, Tiana, thank you so much for coming. It was such a joy to talk to you. And yeah, I'm just so grateful and congratulations again, and congratulations
Thank
to everyone else who
you. You're the
competed.
best.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm
Bye,
so
everyone.
happy.
Yes. Oh, and I will link Tiana's stuff below and reach out to her for posing.
Yay.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.